front of you, you have a small packet, and I'll be speaking to these slides. You heard that there have been a number of efforts underway, but the challenge is to sustain that effort. And how do we begin to integrate safety within the day-to-day operations, and how do we begin to promote safety on a day-to-day basis? Unfortunately, what happens is that many companies get into a mode of being very reactive, and that's where we want to move away from. It looks like you're having a little trouble finding it, but I call this fly syndrome, in which what happens is that we begin a process.
It's attached to the...
It's like we're involved.
I call this the fly syndrome, because what happens is that we begin an operation, something happens, we analyze it, we fix it, and we say we're good to go. We go again until we crash it again, and then we're in this cycle of always being reactive rather than looking ahead. And so where we want to go is, if you look at the next slide, there's I call this a maturity model. The maturity model shows that a company begins to analyze their collisions and their incidents and other mishaps, but that's still being reactive. Where we want to go is begin to become proactive and really ask the question, what are the real risks here and what can we do, and eventually get to a state where we are actually predictive and we can anticipate in advance what those problems will be. So this is where our end goal will be, is to be a predictive organization where we will know in advance what the problems are, begin to assess and analyze them, and put in the proper control measures. So what we really have are actually a safety management system that has 4 basic pillars. The one pillar is that known as the policy, or that provides the structure. And this is where the commitment comes from the leadership, and the leadership here at TRIMET is absolutely committed to implementing the safety management system. With this, we begin to build the processes and procedures that are incorporated into how we do business. And I think that's a key element here. We're not saying that safety is an add-on, but it's actually integrated into the operation. It's not separate and apart. And that's a very important distinction to make. With that, we have a risk management system where we identify the risks to our operations, we begin to evaluate, assess them, and develop the countermeasures. And equally important is the third pillar, in which there's a safety assurance process, because now we have to begin to analyze what we've done is truly effective. And we do that through various means, and it's not just looking at the data after the fact, but we're looking at leading indicators as well, not just looking at those what I call lagging indicators. So it's really important that we do that. And we'll do that through audits and evaluations and reassessments of our different processes. And then lastly, it's the promotion of the safety culture throughout the whole process. And this is done through the training, and you've heard a little bit of that today, how that culture is beginning to be messaged through our operation. It's making sure that everyone is keenly aware that safety is not just a priority. It's not a priority, it's a foundation to how we do business. I'm not going to speak too much to this one because this is a little complicated, but this just shows you how we implement the risk management structure and coordinate that with that security assurance process. What is important, though, is what is the next step? The next step is then to begin to build that safety management structure or system. If there is interest, I can show you what that will look like in the future, but that's still very much work in progress. So again, it's to begin to gain the commitment, which we absolutely do have, begin orienting the staff to this is where we want to go, get to that reactive state, which we are at now, but we want to get to the proactive and predictive state, so there's a continuous loop of improvement.